Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. We are indeed taking it to the quantum level as we meet my next guest, who has spent her research on a very fascinating healing modality, and she is on a mission. So let's meet Carol Keppler at Altwaters Technology. Carol, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I have looked at your website, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, I love the topic that we're going to talk about because near and dear to so many of our hearts is our love of water and our relationship with water. And what you're doing on a quantum level is vibrational healing through the water. And that is a fascinating subject. You are a pioneer in this field, and we are so looking forward to learning more about it. What do you think about this notion of water? We have our beloved Masaru Emoto, who in 3 words summed up his life's work with water, saying, "Water is God."
That's interesting because we did look through all of his work, his beautiful pictures of water that he took, and said someday when we have enough money, we would love to have some of our formulas photographed like that. And I have to tell you that I did hear him lecture live, and of course he had a person to what do I want to say? He had someone to translate for him, right? And so he did use one of our formulas. He was very healthy, and he was older, and the only thing he needed was one formula called Micro Enhancer, which is a way to micro cluster water so it gets into the cells easier, faster.
Oh,
isn't that amazing?
Wow.
That was the one he needed.
We're going to go over all of your waters. So, okay, it is a quantum scientific talk that we're going to talk about. With this work that you've been doing, go ahead and describe it for us, because they are drops that people take, and it's an energy signature. And what's that doing?
Actually, it was named for us, by the way, and the name has been registered as Noetics. Mm-hmm. And hydro, of course, is the water part, and the Noetics is the innate knowledge or message that is in the water, that once you drink it through and you drink the drops in the quart of pure water, once you drink it, through the protein mucous membrane lining of the mouth and esophagus and all the way down the GI tract, is read all of the frequencies in the water. And what is interesting is we have over 13 binders, 3-inch binders of frequencies that have gone in over the past 38 or some odd years, somewhere in there. And the frequencies are read by different people for themselves. So this is very personalized. So even though there are, I think, somewhere in 150,000 frequencies in this kit that we have out for people, it's a system. Every time they take a drink, their body only reads what it needs. So it does not read the things, all of the things in the water that it does not need. In other words, our body is self-diagnosing. Is that not awesome?
Yes, that is beautiful. Our muscle testing reveals that, right?
Yes.
Right, and so our bodies are doing this just by pulling out the frequencies that it needs. How did you come into this work and this research? And your husband, your late husband, was involved with that as well. Share that story.
He, of course, was financial. He was a strong constitution. I am sensitive. You are sensitive. and we'll talk a little bit more about that later because that is terribly important. So he did all the financial stuff, and I could feel along the way he didn't really get what we were doing. But we did a lot of things. We had a teeny tiny herb shop. I got started with herbs, and then I found out the herbs weren't doing the job. Interestingly enough, the people were not getting totally well, and I'm a Virgo, so I have to dig deep. And in thinking, and what that is, of course, is intuition, right, or channeling. In thinking it through, I decided that we were not going to be able to use herbs anymore because it really wasn't doing the job. We were taking 90 herbs 3 times a day, and in fact, I had cancer. They told me. So I take that back. They told me I had cancer of the uterus, and I did herbs, and it was actually 90 herbs was 30 herbs 3 times a day, and juice fasting to clear that. And somewhere along the way, a man came to us, and he was dying. He was bleeding through his mouth and nose, and he was at a friend's house writing his last will and testament, Dean. And his friend called. He had been using the formulas, and we put him on the herbal formulas. He did get well, and later on he and I did programs in Monterey, radio shows together, but it was probably because they diagnosed me with cancer. So along the way, a man who was a chiropractor heard what we were doing. Isn't it funny how you're kind of led along a path? We never would have chosen any of these things that have happened to us, and we did. We helped him with a bad burn on his leg from his motorcycle, and he got well and said he knew someone locally who could do the formulas because we were having them done in California, and therefore it cost a whole lot less to do those. And we had we found that the water formulas work so much better than the herbs, and so we have people who have worked with herbs and with homeopathy and have not had the total, what I call radical wellness, happen to them. And when they try the waters, and I have to say try, because it's scary to think that you could just drink a quart of water a day and get well on that with little drops in, and they got well. So we have a lot of people who have tried this and loved it. I have to tell you something, that the cancer that they said I had, I did juice fasting and herbs and did clear it. I have since learned that cancer is very deep, and people who think they've gotten rid of it really haven't. So we can talk about that, how many layers deep cancer and other diseases can go, because these formulas reach down to those levels to do the cleansing. So this has been quite a journey. What could I say?
Yes, quite a journey with your own health, and that led you to work with these formulas. So you use them in your own life. And
absolutely.
Yes, and so we're going to go over the various types and what they're for. But how have you seen people around you benefit from these? What are some of the healing stories?
We have a lot of them online, and now we're collecting them as selfies, so people can, in 2 or 3 minutes, really tell their story, even if it is a shortened version. And so what we have is we have people who come. I should start with the only ones that come to us are ones who are sensitive, which is really interesting because we don't even advertise. And there are 2 kinds of people. The other is a strong constitution. My husband was strong, and 3 of my 4 children are strong constitutions. 1 daughter is sensitive like myself, and I need to do a little story on that one. When my husband passed on March 13th, and we're still in contact, which is really fascinating, but a psychic was brought over by one of my granddaughters, a psychic she knew, and I said to her, "Is there anything Warren would like me to know?" And she said, "He's telling me that you were right. She said, do you understand that? And I said, oh, I sure do. He was saying that he didn't understand any of this all of these years, but on the other side, he got it, that this really works. So we have the stories we have are anything you can imagine. Cancer is the biggest one because cancer is an acid disease, and what in this world is causing us to have an acid pH? Things like stress, things like chemicals, especially medications, things like electric, like our computers and TVs and cell phones and smart meters and cars with computerized windows, and the worst ones, Teslas, Prius, Spark, Leaf, Volt, all of those. When I go by those, I read the frequencies of the drivers, and it's always bottomed out, and I'll tell you, the bottom of the scale is negative 900, and they driving those cars makes them very good candidates for cancer. So that one is the big one, but there isn't anything that doesn't repair. If we can get it cleansed, it will repair. If we can get it repaired, it will regenerate, and regeneration is what it's all about. So what I like to do, and I know this is not I'm able to do it today, but when people call in, I can read them, I can read their frequencies, their energy, and tell them what is going on in their bodies, and what their general health is. And a new one that we just got is health print. A health print is like your fingerprint. You have a health print that is unique. No one on the planet has a health print like you, and it takes in all of the things that have caused you to be not well, and that would be body trauma, and that might be past, present, or future lives, because we work there too. Might be body trauma that's causing you not to be well, emotional trauma, toxins, including meds. I always have to stop and say that, and electric. And the electric can be everyday electric, like we have just mentioned, and we can take care of that with one formula, the everyday electric, called electric pollution, which is new to us. And but people don't realize that they are getting planetary electric. So in the year 2000, people started calling us and saying, the formulas are making me sick, and they're water. And I said, it can't be. We did a little research, and the solar flares hit then, and they affected everyone, but especially sensitive. And then in 2012, we had coronal mass ejections, and it affected people even more so. So now they have more what I call chaotic electric in their body. And then that we can clear also at the very end of the program. So the truth is, there probably is nothing on this planet that can't be healed. And I use that word to mean cleansed. Once we cleanse it, repair it, and regenerate, that is the healing process. There's nothing. You can ask me any disease, Parkinson's or whatever. And I have to tell you that we have to be very careful about talking about healing anything, because we don't heal. They say God heals, of course, but all we do, the formulas only cleanse. They cleanse the body at the cellular level, and we have found 4 levels deep in the human body, more and more subtle. And that's, of course, where cancer hides, way down there. So when they say that a person has cleared cancer or it's in remission, no, not happening. So we have people who have anything wrong. It doesn't matter. I can check and see if they use the 10-week program, that it would cleanse the cells to the point where body trauma, emotional trauma, toxins, and electric was cleansed, and all the interactions between them, which is their health print. And at that point, the body was designed to self-repair. So that's exactly what happens. And And that it's an exciting business, and we're learning as we go. No one has yet done this.
No one has yet done this, and you, again, are the pioneers in this. Beautiful. It really is the quantum realm when we talk about that, and science is beginning to catch up. This is allowing the body to self-diagnose, as you said,
Yes.
and self-heal, actually
Yes.
self-heal. Okay, let's talk a little bit about strong constitution and the sensitive constitution, and then how you read people, and how can you tell if someone is a strong constitution or a sensitive constitution. Are you doing muscle testing?
No. I do muscle testing, and I do pendulum, but it's intuition, and I think that's where we have to start, because I teach also, and a lot of medical people, but the first class that I taught all of this stuff to had a really hard time with intuition, and what I finally learned was, once the body is cleansed, once the cells are cleansed, you are 100% intuitive. So I tell our people when they call and they have a question, you finish the program, you're 100% intuitive, you tell me what you think, and they are amazing. So with that said, the way that we work with finding out whether it's a strong or sensitive constitution, first of all, no one who has a strong constitution ever darkens our door. The only sensitives. And sensitives, actually, it's taken me years to figure this out, but because I have 4 people of our family were strong constitutions, and I saw how different my daughter and I were, I put together a chart. We have that on our home page at altwaterstech.com. We have that, and I have the attributes of the sensitive down the left-hand column, and opposite that, I have the attributes of the strong constitution. And so what I have learned is the sensitives are, in fact, all of the people that you have had on your show are sensitives, and you are sensitive. And so we're drawn to different types of things than the strong constitutions are. And so we have people who are quite emotional. They read people very easily. They read signs, and I just said to you, you read signs. I can tell. And they are really, after getting themselves well, they really don't like the idea of going to doctors. They'll tell you that. I haven't been to a doctor in years, or I'm going to a doctor and it's just getting worse, and I need something else. So this is quite different from the average person on the planet. There are only 10% of us are sensitive, and the other 90% of the planet are strong constitutions. They like doctors. The more initials they have, letters they have after the name, the better. They don't pick up when things are phony like we do. Like I get magazines in the mail, and it tells how, well, one was a cardiologist who took our classes, and his magazine on the front says, take these 3 little red pills and call me when you're 100. And so, and people, it's not the sensitives who buy that stuff. It is the strong constitution people. They really fall for a lot of that. And it is, I would say it is just intuition, because as soon as I started talking to you, I told you that you were sensitive. It just kind of dawns on you, and it's a beautiful, amazing thing. I'm sure that happens to you, doesn't it?
Yes, well, just talking with you in the beginning, it was just beautiful, and that's why we're having this conversation now, so that we could explore more of your work and get it out. I would say that those listening to this show are sensitives. If all of the people who have been on being interviewed and being presenters and guests, and if they're all
They all are, every single
sensitives,
one.
then, and we've heard this before from others like Judy Callie. She'll say that we are the 10%, and it's the 10% that brings in the new ideas, the new paradigm. And,
that's true.
And so, okay, well, that is really cool. You are very, that's fun to see how you do your readings. Let's talk about some of these products then that you have. And you create these formulas and you help people.
One just came to me a week ago, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit because it's one that you need and you'll love it. But we have 38 single formulas, and if the strong constitution people who are crossing over and don't want to use meds because they don't work for them, or else they get sicker and sicker. Not only do they not work, but they make them worse. When they start crossing over, they cross over to homeopathy, they cross over to chiropractic, they cross over to herbs, and it's kind of like they are used to a pill for every ill. So when they know it's a homeopathy remedy for every ill, that makes sense to them, or an herb for every ill. So what we did is we started out with formulas, and we now have 38. One of the newest ones is electropollution, and that one is, the reason is the electric that we all are exposed to, and our bodies run on beautiful harmonic electric. It runs on synapses and neurons, not on voltage. And so I called what's happening to people now, they're bottomed out on our scale, which was made by 3 medical people, by the way. The top of the scale is radical wellness, 100%. The bottom is negative 900. And so we see that people who are the strong constitution, they do come across, and they are not terribly interested in the system. So what we have is probably different than anyone else on the planet. We do have our 38 singles, and electropollution is one. And let me tell you how easy it is to use that one. And then I'll tell you about the system that we have. The electropollution, we made it because people were starting our kit. And in the year 2000, people were able to take 10 half-droppers a day in a quart of water. The half-droppers means the formula comes up halfway in the tube. And so they were doing, in 2000, 10 half-droppers a day, and in 7 days, the 2-ounce bottle holds 70 droppers, and they were finished. And then the solar flares hit, and then in 2012, the coronal mass ejections hit, and now people are not coming to us with just a tiny bit of electric, but electric so severe. First it was negative 100 electric, then chaotic electric, I call that one, and then it was negative 400, and now every single person who comes to us is negative 900 electric. And that means that their beautiful harmonic electric body is short-circuiting out, and they don't understand what's going on, what's happening to them. And doctors don't know. Doctors never consider that as a problem, and neither do the people who work natural. No one would have anything anyway to take care of it. But the intuition kicked in again, and the formula we call electropollution. It's only been, and we built it for the kit, and it's because people, when they started the program, they were short-circuiting on our product, and they were needing only to take a half a drop, 1/2 of 1 drop, and it was ridiculous. And so what we did is we put together that formula, and so people who are negative 900, like everybody now, they start with 1 drop to a quart of good water, pure water. Reverse osmosis works really well. 1 drop. Drink it all day long in your quart of water. Do that for 3 weeks. So for 21 days, you drink 1 drop of electric pollution in a quart of water. And that formula is $40. Big deal. So you have a bundle left for a lot of other people to use it, because all they use is, 7, 14, 21 drops out of 1,200. And so what is happening is then they can start the program with 1 drop, not 10 half-droppers. That is how sensitive people are. And their sensitivity, they can feel it in their nervous system. They can feel it in the allergies that they have, because it means that their mucous membranes, like the inside of your nose and your mouth, lining of your mouth, and your whole GI tract, the allergies, all of that is the rawness of those parts of the body, brain too. And so we have that formula will take people from negative 900 electric to negative 10. So they're almost on the positive side in 3 weeks for $40. Amazing.
Right, okay, so are there any side effects with that? What do people experience?
With 1 drop, not any. Nope, not any. No problem at all. But if they were taking more than that, they would feel spacey, disoriented, weak, hyper, as the electric was dumping too quickly. So that's why we made the formula, so that the electric would go gently and easily. So we put it in the number 1 place in the kit. And so the system starts with electric pollution for 3 weeks, and then people go to step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it only takes 8 weeks after that, 1 formula a week for them. And they just have to start with drops, and they ramp up to 2 drops, to 3 drops. When they get to 15, it's a half a dropper, and they then ramp up by half droppers. So it is, all of the directions are there. My background is education, so I have a lot of good directions and booklets and CDs in there, DVDs in there to help our people. But the system is where it's all at, and no one else that we know of on the planet has a system. They have an herb or a water formula for every ill. This is a whole lot easier.
Well, it is fascinating what's happening here. So here we have pure water carrying these drops of these formulas designed to really detoxify one's system. And it's actually happening on a cellular level and a molecular and subatomic level. I would say that most people are not even aware of the sensitivities.
No, just the symptoms. They're getting all the symptoms of that, and it's turning into the names of diseases and disorders. And so that's what they're being treated for.
Right, but it's not getting to the root cause.
Good word. Actually, let me give you the 4 levels. The first level is the cellular level, which is the skin, or the outside of every organ is a cellular level. The second level down, if you pinch your skin, you can feel there's something below that, is the molecular level, and it's called biomolecular medicine. That's what doctors study. That's what they learn, and that's what they practice. And I have 2 of my grandchildren studying to be doctors, and one in naturopathic, and her husband, my grandson, a biomedical engineer, because I said to him when he told me he was going to go to medical school, I said, so someone comes here with cancer. I said, and what are you going to do? The government says cut, burn, and poison. And what are you going to tell them? Because he's grown up with all natural. And he just looked at me. And the next thing I knew, he had changed to biomolecular. Let me see. He's going to be doing new hearts and joints and doing the engineering part of it, and not the doctoring part. So this is a really big problem now with everyone. They just don't know. So after the molecular is another level, deep is atomic, and then there is subatomic. And all the other levels have no extra layers to them. And so we got that there were 3 layers to the subatomic level, and then 7, and then 12. And right now we have discovered 60 layers, 60 layers in the subatomic level. And you know what ends up down there? All of the medications that the lady said, my thyroid, I've been on the same medication for 30 years. I said, oh, no, you haven't. When it doesn't work, they make it stronger. So now the meds are negative 1,000 or worse. And our chart bottoms out, our scale bottoms out at negative 900. And so way down hidden are all of those meds. So what is that going to do to your body? It isn't going to allow you to get well. You're just going to be poisoning yourself. I heard a lecture at ASU, at Arizona State University, probably about 6 or 8 months ago, from a professor who was talking about longevity, which I'm really, really interested in. I plan on living 100, 200, 300 years.
Yes.
And I like what he said. He started out by saying, reports all tell us that we are living longer. He said, we are not living longer. We're dying longer.
Uh-huh.
Is not that the truth? They can keep us alive, but it's no quality of life. And so we need to do something about that. So that's one of my visions is the Cocoon Project, which we're just beginning in January. We'll just be opening a Cocoon Project here in our home. But there's so many things that need to be done, and all of your people that you have interviewed are ones that are on that level of out there doing it. Light workers.
It's so amazing, and I want to give you a moment to talk about the Cocoon Project as well, and I think that it's wonderful that you're doing this work and you have grandchildren in the medical field, and hopefully someday they will converge, they will come together in a miraculous way.
It's happening, Loren.
Good.
It's happening. The psychic said this will be a family business, and 3 of our 4 children have taken over the reins that my 87-year-old husband was doing all by himself. It's taken 3 of them to do that, and they love it. So it's drawing in the strong. It's drawing in the strong ones at that level of financial.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, we're definitely going to have you back for some live interaction with our listeners. Share more about the Cocoon Project.
Okay, we have a lot of people in their 80s. I'm 84, and we'll be running 2 businesses. We're moving the Alt Waters technology to our back patio, and I'll be running the Cocoon Project out of our home. And we are starting with 4 people, and I would like to have a different disease for each one, Alzheimer's or dementia for one, Parkinson's, stroke, any aging disability. So we call it Alt Waters Centers, plural, centers, for life and living. And it is a short term. It's going to be 6 months to a year. Short-term wellness, all natural foods, everything all natural. Rehab center. So a short-term wellness and rehab center for elders with aging disabilities. That's a mouthful. And we can turn them around. If Noah could live 400 and some years and Methuselah 900 and some years, why are we dying at, 100 is good now. I think the oldest person in the world right now is 117. But I can tell you why they are living, the people who are living longer are living longer. There are two reasons, longevity. One is the gland of regeneration that Robert Detzler, if he was still alive, I'd love to have him on your program. Robert Detzler discovered behind the liver. It's about the size of a pea, and it is your longevity factor. I was born with a negative 10. That was not good. These people who are living a long time are born with 100, positive 100. And Warren's mother had that. She was 102 before she left, and she never took care of herself. Never, 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 ever. and she lived to 102. The second part is the umbilicus, and people who do Jinshin Jitsu know about that. Did you say you studied Jinshin?
I'm familiar with it as I lived in Asia. But
Oh, you do
but
know.
the energy medicine, and I'm learning actually more synchronicity. I'm reading a book right now. It makes sense of what's going on with the motions of qigong and how it's
Oh, yes.
harmonizing. It's harmonizing the external energy in the environment with our body. And that's what your work is doing. That is exactly what your work is doing.
That's a thought.
It's harmonizing the body back to its divine state.
That's a good word. I like that. Thank you. I'll use that. Very good.
Beautiful. Well,
Divine state.
maybe I kind of have a headache now just because I'm psychosomatic on this.
You're so funny. You do have a headache, and it's -10. I'm reading you. It's -10, and -10 is excruciating pain. And we have discovered the different levels of pain, and we have added them to our formulas so people don't have to use opioids. They don't have to, because they go through this program, and those things are addressed, the different types of pain. And one of them came from a doctor. Her daughter had been in pain since she was, I think she said, a year old, and she was now 14, and they were using meditation, and she was an MD, using meditation and positive thinking and a lot of Louise Hay's affirmations. And so the girl wasn't on any meds but was in horrible, horrible pain. She is now out of that pain, and it's just because she went through the kit, and it took 10 weeks to get through. So it's so easy to do this.
What about MS? Someone with
MS.
MS?
Okay, I have someone we're working with on that one, except when I check her name is Jaga. When I check her, she doesn't have MS. But there is another part of it, and it's called secondary, I'm trying to think what the rest of it is, multiple sclerosis. And she does have that, but not the real MS. And so we have frequencies in for that? Let me tell you how that works. Going through the 10-week program, Jaga's been through, okay? We have added a new formula. There's no room in the kit for it, so we lay it in the top of the kit sideways, and it's called X Factor. And I can do this for people. I can say, your pain right now is -10, and I don't know what it's from. Is it past, present? It isn't past, it isn't present, it's future. It's something, the future is a moment from now, and it's leaching in all the time. So what you're getting is something from the future. So we do past, present, future. We do physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and psychological. Ho, ho, ho. And what we have just learned recently is that people can't get well physically unless they have everything, all of the others in alignment. But I can check each one of those. Mental, -10, emotional, -10. Yeah, you're good. Psychological, -10, spiritual, -10. You're one of the best I have ever checked, because mostly they're -100 to -1,000 or 10,000 on those things. So what you do must be very good. It must be working for you. So what this does, it would just take you a step beyond that. The X factor at the end of the kit is your X factor is -900. And that means there's something that is -900 that is causing these headaches for you. And I could play with that and find out what it is, but the X factor that we just put together means I don't know. So it takes all of these things, body trauma, emotional trauma, toxins, and electric, and all the interactions, and we come out with a health print. So your general health isn't as important as your health print, because that's different from anyone else on the planet, like your fingerprint is. And so that's what the X Factor does. It seeks and finds at the end of the program anything that we have missed, unless you happen to be a Zohar. And we should probably keep that. She's laughing. We need to keep that for another time because that new formula is Formula Z, and it's for Zohar, and only 1% of you on the planet. Of the 10% sensitives, 1% is Zohar. And, sweetie, I told you, I looked at all the pictures of all the people that are on their site, and every single one of them are sensitives and Zohars.
Amazing.
Woo!
All of the guests on Quantum Conversations are Zohars
You
and
betcha.
sensitives. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
I've got holy shivers all over.
It's amazing to see how people are coming together, communities come
Yes.
together for this great shift in consciousness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so is a health print something that you would do on a personal session with listeners? Like is that part of your package then? Okay, so talk about that. Mm-hmm.
It isn't. It's just $100, and you don't need it. I tell people you don't need to do that. However, there are people like myself. You know, if I go to a veterinarian, I want to know what he does. You know, for my pet, and there are people who want to know more about their bodies. So we can dig deep, and we do the general health, but we do their health print, and we check everything, and I go over it with them. We email it to them. We go over it. It takes about 45 minutes to go over it. We just charge $100 for that. But everyone doesn't need it, or maybe they don't even, they don't want it. It doesn't make any difference. The kit will take care of everyone, no matter what their problem is. But that is fun to know.
Okay, so the kit has all of, this is the 10-week program you're talking about,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, with 3 weeks of electropollution before they start. So that's included in the 12 weeks, 12 formulas. The new one on top that we just stuck in is the X Factor. It's taken us 38 years to figure this out. If I had known it was going to take so long, I probably wouldn't have started, right?
Well, we're so grateful you did, yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, so it's about 12 weeks, and that includes the everything.
Everything, including 2.5 months of maintenance.
Okay, so talk more about the maintenance. So when we go through these drops, okay, it could be 3 weeks for the electropollution to remove the non-resonant energy out of our bodies, out of the cellular level,
right,
molecular, atomic, and subatomic level. Okay,
yep, you're right.
And then we go through with the other drops. Did you say it's like 1 vial a week?
Actually, the formulas are 7-day formulas. So at the beginning, you'll like this. At the beginning, people, once they finish their 3 weeks of 1 drop to a quart of water of the electropollution in number 1 spot, and they start step 1 at 1 drop, and they ramp up, and they're all intuitives. Anyone who comes to us is partially intuitive, some of them very, very intuitive. So they just ramp up intuitively until they finish the 7 days. So each one of the formulas, even though they use drops, are going to, at the end of 7 days, they will be finished with that formula and they'll start on the next one. What's interesting is about halfway through, they are using full bottles of formulas, but a second person can start the kit. And just at the end, buy the extra formulas that were used up. So these kits will 2 people can be using them. I say the main person, the person who has the worst health issues, would start the kit, and the other one would start a week later. Okay. So that that person would have full kit to use, the full system to use, and the second one would only have to buy a few extra formulas at the end. So that people like that.
Yeah, that's very helpful. You know, like when we like to do cleanses, it's always helpful if someone else is there to do it with you. All right, so that's good for people to share with that. And so then as people are harmonizing their energy with the frequencies, are there any detoxifying side effects that someone might experience?
Actually, I was an herbalist, and the people used to call at 5 in the morning or 11 at night and say that how sick they were. That's because the herbs were pulling everything into the bloodstream, and people were feeling it all over again. That doesn't happen. That was such a good question, Loren. What happens is the healing process is like peeling an onion. And actually, have you ever cut through an onion and found a brown layer down 4 or 5 skins down? Okay, so as each layer is cleansed with a formula, then the next layer is seen and felt. So it isn't anything negative. It's just that we've cleaned up one layer, and now we are working on the next one with the next formula. So that and they might feel it. They might feel it. And right now we're working with the Z formula for people, and that's for only 1%. We just happen to have about 140 of them on our list, and they are having more problems. And the problems are let's see, how can I say that? The problems are due to mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. So in the Z formula are nothing to clear electric, nothing to clear toxins, nothing to clear microbes, only emotions. And we do a lot with emotions, and we have it online. People can do it free of charge at Altwaters Tech. That's a plural, ALTWATERS.com, and support docs and downloads, and you can do it free, and it is the burning bowl, and I did it, and I did the burning in a glass bowl so you could see what happened, and it took 6 matches to burn. So if you write out your emotions, and I can help people if they have 3 males and 2 females, and put their names on the top of 5 pieces of paper, that each name, and just write your heart out, and I would just do bullet points. Don't bother with sentences, and then separately burn one at a time. I did this with my father, and I shouldn't have done it in the house because I thought we were going to burn the house down. It was in the kitchen. It was in the kitchen, thank God, right? We should have done it outside or in the bathtub or something. But, so they do this one at a time. And I tell them to count the matches. It took 6 matches to burn one of my papers. And in the bowl you can see it. I took out the piece so you could see it. The word that would not burn was pain. I'm sorry. It was saddest, because I had said this was the saddest day of my life. It took 6 matches to finally get that little one word burned. The reason why I said pain, we had an elder lady who did it, and I told her to count the matches, and she called back and she said it took 17 matches. And I said, what was the word that wouldn't burn? And she said, pain. It would not burn. It took 17 matches before she could get that to burn. So you use a pencil, and it tells online how to do that. Use a pencil because it's natural graphite. Write it out. And you know what's interesting? Once you have written that with the pencil, it's not in you anymore. It is on the paper. All the grief and pain, I've got holy shivers all over me. All the grief and pain is on the paper. It's not in you. And so then you do the burning. And I do it in a colander, so outside, and so that I don't burn down the house.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because all of those black pieces of paper, I just blow them to the wind. And so they're gone. All the energy is released. It's gone. And it works.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of ancient stuff, and I just kind of pulled it all together. You probably heard of that. We also say your core beliefs can keep you keep you sick. And we did have a gal that had that problem. Her sister gave her kit, and in 4 days, and she started it in 4 days, she said, I can't do this. I said, why? She said, because God heals, and I'm expecting the water formulas to heal me. She said, I'm Christian Science. Now that is called cognitive dissonance. What you have learned is fighting in you so that you can't do what, you can't reject that thought. So she didn't do the program, and she could have. So that's core beliefs, and I put my core beliefs on, and I happened to grow up in it was tough during the Depression, in an old 100-year-old farmhouse with, my father was a mechanic and cars all around the farmhouse, so that because he didn't have to go in the service, he had to keep the cars running, and so my life wasn't really hard, no toilet facilities, no running water, but I have a gal in Canada, and her life was so rugged, and I asked her if she would write her story for me on that same site, because she said, you know what, all my hardships just made me stronger, and she is awesome. She is such an awesome person. So it isn't what happens to you, it's how you take it, what you do with it. But you can clear. You can clear so it doesn't have to hurt you or make you ill for the rest of your life.
This is really fascinating, the work that you're doing here, the harmonizing with the body, literally making it alkaline, a normal
Absolutely.
alkaline. That's really what's happening here.
An alkaline body is going to be a healthy one. And there's one thing I didn't mention, and it was when we talked about electric, and I should. It's the Maltese Medallion that deflects electric, because I've been wearing mine for 17 years. It's sterling silver and very beautiful at heart chakra. Never. You could be in a Tesla, Prius, whatever car. You could be working at computers 24/7. Doesn't make any difference. This will deflect electric. It never needs to be cleansed except with silver polish. And it works. It works. It's easy.
Okay, so that would be for use after
step 8, and you have all the planetary electric cleared. Electric pollution is going to do the everyday chaotic electric, but step 8 takes you right through planetary electric. Then you don't want that back again, any of that back again. So you need to have the medallion by the time you finish step 8. But that gives you, 12 weeks?
Beautiful. Okay, so, we have a package of this 9-week program, which is actually a 12-week program because it covers the 3 weeks of the electropollution.
And we put an info sheet in with it. So there's lots of information. I'm a teacher. Lots of information in the package. So it's an education in itself.
So after folks go through the program, then there's a maintenance program.
Which is part of the kit.
And then folks can just go back and
2.5 months. 2.5 months worth.
And that's it. So it's really in 3 months you're complete.
Absolutely. You do have to have maintenance. And remembering that my dad was a master mechanic, I say to people, do you take your car in for preventive maintenance? And they say, oh, yes. But your body is much more important than your car. And so the preventive maintenance is 1/2 a dropper, comes up halfway in the tube, of each one of now 4 formulas, because the X factor has future microbes, future electric, and future, what is the other one, toxins in. And so it will keep you from, if you get an infection, you can use that one to clear it up. By the way, a future infection is C. diff and MRSA. And the medical people say, not medical people, but Center for Disease Control says it's going to take them at least 10 years to get an antibiotic for them. So they will use antibiotics and just push them deeper into the body, but they're not getting rid of C. diff and MRSA. So we have four maintenance formulas, 1/2 dropper of each in a quart of water, drink it all day long. That's it.
Well, beautiful. Thank you for making this available in a program. It's best that people do the full weeks, 12 weeks, start out
12 weeks,
with
right.
the program. Mm-hmm.
And the maintenance that comes with it.
12 weeks and the maintenance. Okay, beautiful. That is available on the special offer button on this webpage. And you also have an emergency kit, which can be used anytime. You can take it with you in your vehicle or in your travels. And this is good. We'll let our listeners check out what's included in that package through the special offer button. And also, this works for pets. As we wrap up our show today, and we will have you back, really, Carol, it's just amazing. I'd love to have you do readings with the listeners because I know so many are going through so
I would
much
love
right
to do
now.
that too.
And that would be very powerful. Well, I look forward to that then. Thank you, Carol Keppler, for this quantum conversation, returning the body back to its natural alkaline state with water and frequency. And this is preventative maintenance for the body and complete turnarounds for the body. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
Bless you, bless you, bless you for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this program, please share it with your friends and loved ones. And we thank you for shining your magnificent light and adding it to the world. This is when we love ourselves like no one else can. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.